In this video, we are going to learn about if-else and else-if statements, which are the most common types of conditional statements in JavaScript. We will also see some code examples and a real-world case of using these statements. By the end of this video, you will be able to write your own conditional statements and apply them to various scenarios. So let's get started. So a conditional statement is a statement that evaluates a condition and execute a block of code if the condition is true, or another block of code if the condition is false. The condition is usually a logical expression that compares two or more values using operators such as equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and, or, and not. For example, the condition x is equal to 10 evaluates to true if the value of x is equal to 10 and otherwise false. Now the if statement is the simplest form of a conditional statement and it has the following syntax. First we have our if statement, then parentheses, and here we need to use condition that we want to check. Now after adding condition, we have our code block, and this code block will be executed if our condition is true. For example, let's say we have a variable const x is equal to 10, and then here we are providing a condition if x is equal to 10, then execute this code console.log hello world. Now if I hit save, you can see our code is successfully executed because this condition is true. Now if we change this condition to 11, you can see we don't have any result in our console, and this is because this condition is false. That is why this code block is not executed, because x is equal to 10, not 11. Now what if the condition is not met? That's where the else statement comes in. The else statement is used to execute a block of code if the condition of the if statement is false. Like here in our case, because x is not equal to 11, that is why this condition is false. So here we can use else statement, and by using this else statement, we are saying that if this condition is false, then execute the code which is inside of this else block, like console.log goodbye world. Now if I hit save, we have goodbye world instead of hello world because this condition is false. This kind of code here, which has an if else part, is known as control structure. The name control structure comes from the fact that this code gives us more control over how program runs. For example, in this if else code, not all the code is executed in a straight line. JavaScript can skip some parts of code and run the other part, depending on the condition. This way we can control which code should run and which code should not run. That's why this is called a control structure. Now let's introduce the else if statement. This statement is useful when we have multiple conditions to check. It's like saying, if the first condition is not met, try this one, and so on. Let's say we want to check another condition, and we can check this after this if block. In order to use else if, we simply need to write else, then if, and after this parentheses, and in here we need to add our second condition. Like we can check if x is greater than 5, then execute this block of code and console.log x is greater than 5. And at the end, we have to use our else statement. Now I am hitting save. Now you can see we have the result in our console, which is coming from this block of code. Now what is happening here? When the code runs, JavaScript first check the first condition is true or not. If it is true, it will run this block of code, and then it will not see anything after this block. And if this is false, like in our case x is not equal to 11, then JavaScript checks this second condition. If this condition is true, then JavaScript execute this line of code. Now if it is not true, if both of these conditions are false, then the code inside of this else statement will be executed. Now this else if statement has a condition and it must be placed after this if statement. And you can have as many else if statements as you want, but only one else statement at the end. And now we are going to create a simple calculator that will take two numbers and an operator as input from the user and display the result on the screen. And we will use if else statements to check the user input. Now to make this calculator, first I am just commenting this block of code like this. Now to make this calculator, we need to get two numbers from user. So const num1 is equal to, then after this we are going to show the prompt to our user to input a number. Now here I am using prompt function. Then we can say here enter the first number like this. Now here we are asking our user to enter a number, and then we are storing that number into our num1 variable. Now we need another number. So const num2, or we can just copy this line of code like this, and here we have num2, and then here we can simply ask enter the second number like this. Now our user will get two prompts. First one is to enter the first number, and the second one is for to enter the second number. Then we also need to ask user which operation he want to perform. Const operator is equal to prompt, and here we just ask our user to choose operator from these operators like plus, minus, multiply or divide. Now by doing this, we have our first number and also we have our second number, and then the operation that user want to perform. Now after this, I am just declaring a variable which is called result without assigning a value like this. Now in order to check the user input that we are getting, we need to use our if else statement. Now here, because we have four operators, we have to check four conditions. First we are going to check if operator is equal to plus, then execute this code block. Now here we are going to assign value to this result variable, and we can say result is equal to num1 plus num2. Now the second condition that we have to check is if user use this minus operator. Now for this I am using else if statement. Else if, then our condition, which is if operator is equal to minus, then result is equal to num1 minus num2 like this. Now this one is our second condition. Now the third condition that we have to check is if user choose this multiplication operator. So else if operator is equal to multiply, then result is equal to num1 multiplied by num2. And at last, we have our division operator. So else if operator is equal to this forward slash, then result is equal to num1 divided by num2. Now at last we are going to use our else block. Now here, if user types a wrong operator, then we will show alert invalid operator like this. Now here at the end, after the execution of this if else statement, we are going to say alert. Then here I am going to use our template literal because we are going to show a dynamic result to our user. So here we are going to alert num1, then space, then the placeholder for our operator that our user choose, then num2 is equal to this result variable. Now if I run like this, we have a bug right now in our code. But first I am going to run this code as it is. And after this I will show you what is the bug and how we can fix. Now I am just hitting refresh and putting our first number which is 12, second number again 12, then operator I am going to use is the plus. Now if I hit OK, you can see instead of 24, it's saying 12 12. Why is that? This is because here this prompt function that we are using gives us a string value. And if you want to check, we can simply check by using console.log and type of num1. Now after hitting save, if I put any value here, then I hit OK, then the second, then this plus operator, you can see in our console, the type of this num1 is a string. And as you know, if we use plus operator between two strings, then this plus operator basically concatenate our strings. Now how we can fix this? In order to fix this, we have a function to convert string into a number. And I am going to use that function here, and the name of the function is capital N, then simply number. Now we are going to put this prompt into this number function. Now just cutting this from here, then I am just calling this function and pasting the prompt into this function. Now we have to do the same thing with this num2. I am just cutting this, then our number function, then pasting this here. Now if we run our calculator, this will work perfectly. Now here I am entering our first number 12, then again 12, then plus operator. Now if I hit OK, you can see now we have a correct result. And also you can check the number type in our console, which is number. And now our calculator is working. Now once again, this is how our calculator works. The user have to enter two numbers and an operator such as 5, 3 and plus. Then we are converting this prompt into a number. Then we are declaring this result variable. Then later on we are going to assign this result variable a value depending on operator. Then here we are going to check the operator and we are going to perform the operation depending on the operator that user chooses. And if the user choose an invalid operator such as modulo or any other operator, then user will get an alert box with this text invalid operator. And this is a simple example of how conditional statements can be used to create a calculator. You can try to modify this code and you can add more features such as validations, error handling, and more operators. Now in this video, we learned how to use conditional statements in JavaScript, and we covered how to use the if else if statement to execute different blocks of code depending on certain conditions. We also saw some code examples and a real world case of using these statements. Conditional statements are very useful in programming as they allow us to control the flow of our program and make it more dynamic and interactive. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more coding tutorials. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.